Well, my name is Kevin Touly. I'm just a regular guy, guys. So I'm not gonna do a whole lot of dream selling for you guys or the oorah motivational stuff. I'm trying to go into the meat and the bones as much as I can. The last one I did, Christian was like, "Hey, there's too much dream selling. Get to the meat and potatoes. Talk about the S&Ps." we'll get there. We'll get there. But I always like to open up myself to everybody else because sharing a story, right? Because if you start from the heart, right, you open up people. If you start with like numbers, analytical stuff, it's not very personable, right? And I'm a real person. If I could do it, you know, a kid from Laos that immigrated here when he was 4 years old, right, almost died. I'm not even supposed to be here, right? So, 4 years old, I got a motorcycle accident with my dad. Those guys that ran us over there by country, they're like, "Hey, we got to get rid of the evidence, right? We got to kill this kid. He's remembered my face." And I remember that vividly. So a lot of people say, "Hey, my wife tells me that's, you have childhood amnesia. You're not going to remember any of that." That's trauma, right? So childhood trauma carries on to your adulthood. And that's what I experienced, childhood trauma, right? I came from a country that has not a lot of things, not a lot of food, right? Not a lot of money, a lot of scarcity, right? But in America, we have abundance, right? So I'm going to share with you my story, if that's okay. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Where do I go next?
Just the space bar.
Oh, space.
Maybe it's not. There we go. Now we got the space bar.
All right, so real estate, stocks, financial services, right? The largest wealth creating machines on earth, right? So coming up, I was thinking, okay, I want to do all these things. I want to become a doctor, engineer, physicist, everything, take over the world, right? But if you look at it, if you want to create wealth, what are the largest wealth creating machines on earth, tried and true, that any regular person can do, right? Whether it's investing in stocks, putting a little bit a month, every month, right? Or just buying a house and living in it and seeing that equity rise as you're paying to your monthly mortgage, paying down that loan, right? And building that equity. Those are the easiest things like anybody can do, but we don't think about it until we're 50, 60 years old, like, oh crap, I'm still renting, right? So get out of that mindset where you're renting, right? Get out of that mindset where you're just spending, right? And just saving, right? So save not to spend on things that don't matter. Save so that you can invest and build your financial future, okay? So I'm gonna share with that. So the markets are crashing. Why are we here? So some of us are real estate professionals. Interest rates have skyrocketed, right? And business has dried up, right? If we're not skillful, we're not gonna be able to bring in that business and put food, right, for our family on the table, right? We gotta level up our game, right? We gotta get better as salespeople. We gotta get better as influencers to influence people and to be able to bring in that money. So why is it important more than ever to have a diversified income, right? If you just have one job, if your boss doesn't like you, you get written up a couple times, then that's it. You can't. You're done. You're W-2 work. You got to go hunt for another job. And right now, the largest corporations, right, like Google, Facebook, right, Twitter's laying off 75% once Elon Musk takes over, right? So the largest corporations right now, they know a big recession's coming, and they're laying off a bunch of people, right? And hopefully none of those people are in this room, okay? But if it is, you're gonna start to think like, how am I gonna put food on the table for my family, right? If you are a single person, you don't have any dependents, it's easy, like, oh, it's just me. I can, pack my stuff and go live anywhere, right? But if you have kids, a family to feed, you got to start thinking about those things. You have responsibilities, right? So we have to level up our skill sets. We have to have passive, active, and multiple streams of income. Because if our income is solely dependent on one source, we're at the mercy of that one source, right? Like real estate, if that's your only source of income and business is dried up, what are you going to do, right? Can't go beg, steal anybody for money. This is America. You got to go work for it, right? So you got to diversify your talents and your streams of income. Stocks and options is one way that I'll teach you today that you can, spend a couple hours a day in the morning, in the afternoon, extract that money out of the market, right? Make your daily nut or cheese that you need to make to satisfy your current obligations, and spend that rest of the time, right, leveling up your skill sets, learning sales skills, learning things about real estate when the market picks back up, right? Learning things about financial services and life insurance, the industry Daniel's in, and I'm also in, right? So I have practically every single license in every single industry that you can imagine, because I want a piece of this, I want a piece of that, I want a piece of this, I want a piece of that, right? I don't have to be a master of every industry. I just have to find people like Daniel. Hey, Daniel, I want to get to know you. I want to ride your coattails. I want to build what you built in a fraction of the time. Can you teach me? Yeah, of course. Because if he teaches me, if I do well, don't you think he's going to do well too? Yeah, he's going to do extremely well, right? Guys like Christian, right? Hey, I got this new deal with real estate. It allows you to build passive and residual income, and you can revenue share, Kevin. Oh, I'm interested. Show me how to do that. Well, you just got to sign up. You're a broker. Well, now, instead of just being a broker in California, now you can leverage every agent in the entire United States. You can leverage off of every one of their efforts if you sponsor and recruit them, right? Not only the entire U.S., but countries where EXP has partnerships with, like in Europe, Mexico, Canada, South America. And recently they just went into India, right? You got Hong Kong, Australia. So all these different countries that you can benefit from agents that are global, right? So it's not just about here in Ontario, California anymore. You can pretty much sponsor anybody within the EXP network throughout the entire world and make that passive residual income, okay? So recession-proof your income through financial services. Multiple streams of income, really important, right? If you're in real estate right now, if you have rentals, maybe they're paying, $100 a month, positive cash flow. If you started thinking about taking that rental and turning it into a short-term rental, right? Because all of my short-term rentals, they're paying 2 to 3 times the average rents of traditional rental, right? So some of my rentals are doing more than like a 20-unit apartment building, right? So those are the kind of things that I'm looking at, is having an engineering background. I'm always looking for ways to make more, right? To get that efficiency, right? Make more with less, okay? How can I make more with what I have right now, right? How can I maximize the gain and minimize the losses and input, right? Minimize input, maximize gains. So short-term rentals with real estate, right? Leverage through a system like EXP has to offer, right? And you don't have to quit your 9-to-5 job. Like, I didn't quit my 9-to-5 job for the longest time. And that was probably one of the biggest mistakes I made in my life. I stuck around that engineering job for like over 15 years because it gave me that, that safety net, right? It gave me a golden handcuff. Oh, whether I do anything or not, just as long as I put this minimum effort into it, I'll get my cushy 50 to 150K salary. I'm good, right? But in the back of my mind, I've always wanted more. I wanted to build something, not just for myself, but my family and future generations for my family, right? I didn't want them to go through this pain and the same struggles that I did, right? I lost my dad when I was 12 years old. I didn't even have a dad to learn from, right? I didn't have a dad like Chatty to interview, right? I have a lot of fears in me that I still need to overcome. And that speech from Chatty touched me because he's like, yeah, I interviewed my dad. I'm like, if only I had my dad to learn from, right? I didn't have that role model. I had to go out and find people to learn from that were doing way more than I did, way more successful than. And there's people out there. And nowadays, it's easier to reach somebody through social media, LinkedIn, right, online than it was 10, 15, 20 years ago because of the advancements of technology. The world's a more connected place, right? Because of guys like Zuckerberg, right? So this is my story. Immigrated to United States. My parents brought me here so that we could have a better future for myself and my older brother. Okay, back in my country, teachers were stealing food from us, right? We had to worry about having food. When I went to school, teachers would take all the beef jerky out of my little rice basket and just leave the rice, right? How awful is that? When my parents brought me here, I saw all these apples here, and I just wanted to stay, right? I saw the abundance that America had to offer, where in my country we had to split a cake in 4 pieces, apples in 4 pieces. We don't have to do that here. So I went from a scarcity mindset to an abundant mindset, very early on. And a lot of people I find in the United States right now, they still have that scarcity mindset. I'm like, why? Dude, there's plenty of money out there. You just got to go get it. It's out there. They're printing trillions of dollars, guys. Why can't you get yours? Why can't you guys find guys like Daniel, like Christian to learn from and go get yours? They have the vehicle. They have the blueprint, right? Ride their coattails. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. I always, when I came to this country, my mom left me here, and then I had to prove to my grandparents and my aunts and uncle that I was worthy of staying here, right? Because my mom had to go back and take care of my other brothers. So I have to always had this stigma of having to constantly prove to myself. And if I didn't become a doctor or a lawyer, I'm not successful, right? So I always had this stigma and this drive within me, I had to go out there and freaking crush it. And if I don't, who's going to take care of me, right? I didn't come from a wealthy family. I didn't have a trust fund or, a couple rental properties waiting from my parents to give me, like I'm going to give my kids, right? I didn't have any of that. I came from nothing. But I knew there's more out there that I can go out in this country because there's so many opportunities out there. There's so many generous people like Daniel, like Christian, that's willing to share their knowledge with you, right? You just have to be willing to put in the work. So, having financial literacy is really important. You have to understand that, everybody has to start from somewhere, right? You're not going to have $1 million to invest in real estate and you're going to turn that into $10 million right off the bat. You get your first job, graduate high school, right? If you like college, go to college, get a good job, et cetera, but you don't need to go to college if you don't want to, right? There's a lot of skills out there that you can make millions of dollars off of, right? Because a formal education would make you a really good living, like I did as an engineer, right? But self-education can make you a fortune if you can affect the lives of many people, not just yourself. If you can help more people get what they want, you'll get what you want, right? You'll be very successful, just as long as you try to go out there and help other people as well, right? So the most successful people, they're affecting a lot of lives, like Elon Musk, right? How many lives do you think he's affecting, right? He's trying to change the world by sustainable energy. He's trying to get everybody off fossil fuels. Everybody's going to have electric vehicles, right? He's going to put us on Mars whenever an asteroid hits, right? We don't have to all suffer here on Earth, right? So these guys are thinking next level, right? We're just worried about here, us, Ontario, California, trying to put more money into our bank accounts. So get in the mindset of going from employee, to self-employed. Eventually you want to get out of this because it becomes just a high-paying job. You own that job, right? So create businesses, get tax write-offs like Daniel and Christian talks about, and become an investor, right? Make your money work for you. right? Because there's only one of me. I only have 24 hours in a day, right? But my little money soldiers, I can leverage that. I can have 100 of me if I wanted to, leveraging money and investing in different companies and throwing that in the stock and options market, right? So start thinking about leverage. So husband, father, engineer, so I'm a family guy, right? I'm not as, extroverted like Daniel, right? I'm trying to become a better presenter, right? If you were to see me like 5-10 years ago, hey Kevin, go give a presentation. Like, no, you do it. I don't do it. You do it. But you gotta, like Chatty says, he interviewed his father. You gotta figure out what your fears are and overcome them. Because the more fears you overcome, the better person you'll be, right? To yourself, to your family, to your kids, to your wife, and you'll make more money, right? Because once you start learning how to articulate the things that are going in your head, right? Like me, Art and I just talked about this. Like, I'm a numbers guy and I'm an introvert. Naturally, it's hard for me to connect and talk to people, right? I had to learn those skills, right? It didn't come natural to me. When I met my wife, she taught me all that stuff, right? She called me the Tin Man because I had no emotions. It helped me in options and trading, right? Because I had no emotions. I would see a pattern, I would look at the numbers, and I would just click, like boop, 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 boop. I wasn't worried about losing money. I was worried about the setup, boop, boop, boop. Because the biggest mistake people make when they're trading stocks or options is the fear of losing money. They're not looking at the setup, right? So analytically, if you just look at the setup and you play the probabilities game, you think in terms of probability, you detach yourself and let go of the emotions, right? The gains would take care of itself. Make sense? Mm-hmm. Who agrees? Who's invested in the stock market and made money? Who's invested in the stock market and lost a ton of money and said, I never want to do that again? I've been there. I've lost hundreds of thousands of dollars when I first started. I'm still proud of it because it taught me certain things that wouldn't have taught me, right? If somebody told you about, like, yeah, whatever, stop by, buddy. I have no attachment to it, right? But because I was so focused and I was so obsessed and I was so curious about how these successful people made it, I just wanted to study them, right? How did they make so much money in stocks and real estate, right? How did they keep on getting money from the same property over and over and over again? Like, I would hear my aunts talking about refinance. Like, what the hell is a refinance? Well, I thought you had to sell your house to make the money. Well, once I learned how to do cash out refi, dude, that totally changed the game for me, right? You don't have to get rid of properties. You can refinance it, lower your payments, and extract some equity out and throw it in the stock market. That's what I did. That game alone changed it for me. So stocks, options, and real estate, they go hand in hand, right? They're like the yin and the yang. So when the real estate is doing good, ride it, take the money out, right? Cash that out, sock it away, and get ready for the the stock market. Stock market's up, take it out. It's a cycle, rinse and repeat, guys. It's been happening for, decades, hundreds of years, right? That's not going to change. There's cycles, right? So, take your pill, right? You want the red pill, go back and keep on doing whatever you're doing, or take the blue pill. I always want to give me the blue pill, right? Give me the Daniel Alonso's, give me the freaking Christians. I want to learn from them, right? Even if I have to pay $500, $5,000, $50, I don't care, right? Because that money that I paid them is going to make me more money, right? I'm going to cut that learning curve, all those mistakes, that money that I would have lost if I try to go out and do it on my own. So be obsessed with learning from other people that have successfully made it in their industry, right? So, I was fortunate enough early on to have these different multiple streams of income to finance it was a hobby back then, but I turned it into my lifelong career of trading stocks and options, right? So I chose the freedom, right? I didn't want to become stuck behind a cubicle anymore. I was tired of that new manager or executive just coming on board, he didn't even know anything about my industry, and he's telling me what to do, and he's making like 5 times more money than I am, and I'm doing all the work, right? I was capped. That's it. You only make $150,000 a year. I don't care if you beg, scream, or whatever, right? But you're going to do what I tell you to do. So I was tired of that, you know. Fortunate enough for me, you know, on the side when I got home or during my lunchtime, I was learning about stocks, trading, right? I was learning about real estate. I was meeting guys like Christian, right, to teach me how to, hey, take your money, your earned income, and park it into real estate and build passive income on the side, right? And then you can offset your wage income with write-offs by building a business, et cetera, right? Who's going to teach you all that, right? Unless you meet people or you start digging the books, right? You only know what you know. So start learning from people. So 2020, best years of my life, right? So when I was 18, I made $18,000. I was excited. I thought I was the king of the world. And all this was, you know, mentoring students too, right? So I wanted to teach other people that you don't have to go through the pain and the struggles that I did, right? You can cut those 22 years to a fraction of the time if you just found somebody that's already doing it, okay? So this is the life that I'm able to live and give my family, right? No more, you know, splitting apples, right? We can go on trips and have as many apples as you want, right? You know, when we went on this nice, beautiful RV trip, got his and hers matching RVs with Christian, right? Give my nice wife a little Range Rover. Was able to help my mom buy her dream home, right? So a lot of people say money isn't everything and they don't need money. Well, they're lying through their teeth. Money solves a lot of problems, right? Who agrees? Yes. Who agrees that their life would be a little bit better if they had a little bit more money or didn't have to worry about money? Money solves a lot of problems. So with that money, I've always had a lifelong passion of creating things and you know, opening up new companies and developing startups, right? So I co-founded a company. It's called D-Real, right? Real estate on the blockchain. So any of your real estate professionals out here, we know that a transaction takes 30 to 45 days, right? But I can trade stocks and options. I can buy millions and, you know, I'm not buying billions of dollars worth of options right now, but we can do that with click of a mouse. We transfer the money and we get the contract right away, the stock or the option. Why can't we do that with real estate, right? Imagine a world where, you know, you click a mouse, you buy that house, or you help your clients click that mouse, buy a house, the transaction is settled right then and there, right? Right at that moment, the commission check goes in your bank account. Who wouldn't want to get paid yesterday? Want to get paid yesterday? That's going to happen in the future, right? The technology is there, but the people haven't caught up yet. That's all it is. And my company is going to help take it there, right? It's called D-Real. So click a mouse, buy a house. So visualize, right? What is your dream? Visualize it in your head right now. So everybody close your eyes. So what's your dream right now? What's your big why, right? How are you going to get there, right? What are the steps I need to do to get there? Who do I need to learn from, right? How much money do I have? How much money is going to be in my bank account to fulfill those dreams? And it can happen, right? You just gotta get in the right vehicle and learn from the right people, and that's why we're here today. You know, we have no intentions, no motives. We just want to help you, because if we help you, right? If we help you, essentially it's going to come back to us, right? You help enough people get what they want, you'll get everything that you want, guys. So, a little disclaimer about stocks and what I'm going to teach you. It's a lethal weapon. So, I'm not a financial advisor. This is purely for educational purposes, right? So, but it could make you a ton of money. So before we could conquer the world, we must first conquer who? Ourselves, right? We need to master ourselves. We need to know who we are, right? Before we put on that trade, we need to know what we want, right? Because if we can't control or master ourselves, how are we going to control hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars by clicking a mouse, right? Your mind's going to go freaking wild. You put a couple 100,000 or 10,000, it turns into $1 million, right? And the next day it goes back to $5,000. Most people go insane, right? So you got to master yourself. Discipline, right? Self-discipline is very important. Know yourself. Have the ability to let go, right? Letting go is so important. And I had to learn that over the years, right? So don't get emotionally attached to money, because money, you can always make more money, but you can't make more time, right? You can use the money to buy more time. Make sense? So letting go, and there's a book that I recommend, it's called Letting Go. It's just the art of detachment. Being detached from the outcome. Being detached from the outcome. That's so important. When you put on a trade, or when you put your money in that investment, don't get emotionally attached to that house. It's just an investment. The numbers will work itself out. Because if you get emotionally attached to it, you're gonna self-sabotage yourself, right? Let me change my stop, right? It's gonna work in my favor. Changing a stop, meaning if the trade goes against you, right? The stop will protect you and take you out. So there are tools out there in software where you bracket your order. If it goes against you, you take it out. If you hit a profit, you're out, right? So letting go is very important. Don't be emotionally attached to your investments, to your job. Be emotional with your family, right? So we're all humans. We can be emotional. That's okay. But don't be attached to your trades or your investments, okay? Have the patience to ride out within if you invested in a home or rental or whatever, maybe it's not working well, or short-term rental, right? Have the patience. Figure out, well, what do I need to change to make it work better, right? What do I need to change with this trade to make it work better next time? Learn from your mistakes. Have that patience. And always think in terms of probability, right? So sometimes I'll take a trade, boom, boom, it didn't work. It didn't work, it didn't work, it didn't work. 4 or 5 times, I'll take my stops, right? But the 5th or 6th time, it works, and it takes care of all those stops and losses that I made more, right? Many times more. So it's just all a probabilities game, okay? So consistent, persistent pursuit of refinement. Always try to refine things and make things better. Be the adaptability and resiliency, right? So I was watching a video the other day, and it struck me to the core, because it's not about how smart you are, right? Or how gifted you are. Everybody's born with certain gifts and talents, right? Some people are born naturally with math skills, right? Or emotional intelligence, right? Or being an extrovert, being able to articulate their thoughts well, right? Some people are gifted physically, right? They're better looking than some people, right? They're taller, or they have more strength, right? But everybody has their own talents. Find out what your talents are and go all in on it. Exploit your talents. And if whatever you're not talented in, find those other people that are talented in that, and start learning from them, or start working with them. Like, leverage those other people, okay? So in the process of becoming a better trader, you too will become a better person. Enjoy the process, because it's not just about the destination, it's about the process. So take control of your own financial portfolio. A lot of people don't know that you can manage a lot of the asset allocations if you're working for somebody and you have a 401k, right? You don't have to leave it up all on them. You can move that around between stocks, bonds, cash, and all that stuff, right? So timing the big turn is really important in stocks, because if the market went up, right, would you want to sell at the top before it crashes? Why would you want to hold and dollar cost all the way down? Sell it once it goes down, and you use that money to buy more. You don't need to dollar cost all the way down. That's BS. All those money managers are telling you to keep all that money in there so they can have all those assets under management and still make that, that percentage, right? So I'm going to show you a couple things about options, right? And options are leverage products. And if you know the stock, how they trade, you can utilize the options to lever up on the movement, right? It's kind of like, people in real estate, most people don't buy real estate all cash, right? That's the biggest investment in our life. So most of us finance it by using a mortgage. We put our 3.5% down or 5%. You don't need 20% down, right? Talk to guys like Christian, they'll laugh at you like, oh, I need to save up 20%. How long will it take you to save up 20% to buy your first home? By the time you save up 20%, the house has already gone up like 200%, right? So there are mortgages and programs out there to get you in for, low down payment. Or right now, Bank of America is pushing 0 down payments for, certain ethnic groups or races, right? So when we buy an option, basically it's kind of like, using a mortgage, right? We're using that instrument. One contract controls 100 shares of stock, right? So that's why I utilize options, because I want to put a little bit to make a lot, right? Use a little bit to make a lot so that I can deploy that money elsewhere, right? Whether it's in real estate or startups or whatever, other investments. So covered calls, covered puts. Sell a call, buy a put credit spreads to create consistent income. So this is the market cycle of emotions, right? In a bull market, everybody's excited. Everybody's talking about, the stocks going on the moon, Dogecoin going from 0.00007 to 75 cents. You get like multi-millionaires that put $2,000 in, and now their account's like a couple $1 million, but they just held on to it and they never sold it because they think it's going to make them 100 million, right? Well, if you made 100 million and you put a couple $1,000s in, what would the market cap of that coin be? Right? It would be a couple $1 trillion. Yep. And do you think everybody's going to have 100 billion? So you kind of need to think in terms of that, right? So bull market, everybody's, chasing the prices on the way up, right? But you got to remember, in the market, right, is a zero-sum game. Everybody know what a zero-sum game is? So in order for somebody to win, somebody else on the other side has to lose. That's in the stock and options market. Not in real estate, because if I sold you my house, you're not losing, you get to keep the house. It doesn't go poof. If the market goes down, there's a physical asset there. In the stock market, they go poof, like, dude, sorry, got to go back to work at, whatever 9-to-5 job you had, right? So understand the cycles of the market, bull and bear market. When, your grandma starts talking about Dogecoin or Bitcoin, that's probably not the best time to get in, right? It's like, hey, I want my money, take it out, right? When everybody's depressed, everybody doesn't want to touch NFTs, Dogecoin, right? Ethereum, Bitcoin. Maybe that's the time to put that money back in. That technology is not going to go anywhere, right? It's just cycles. So start by learning the patterns, right? Pattern recognition is really important, like Tony Robbins says, right? Learn from people, learn their behaviors, economic trends, technological trends, stock market, real estate markets, all have patterns, right? So if you are a good pattern reader, because patterns repeat themselves over time, whether it's on a 1-minute cycle, a 5-minute cycle, 10, a daily cycle, excuse me, a weekly, monthly, whatever cycle it is, right? Different patterns happen on different time frames. So you got to be able to look at all those different time frames. So this is a chart pattern of stocks and candlesticks, right? So bullish and bearish pattern. Remember when we were in elementary, we had to color in the lines and the boxes, right? Red, green, and we had to start learning patterns and learn our ABCs, right? So A, B, C, what happens after that? D, E, F, right? So that's a pattern. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. In music, right? Everything in life, there's a pattern to it. So, and I love patterns, right? I'm obsessed with all this stuff. So there's patterns that repeat over and over and over again in the stock market, and you can make money off of that, right? As long as you're a good pattern reader, right? And you're disciplined about your money management. When this pattern happens, I'm going to put in the money. When it goes, up, I'm going to sell it. The pattern's over. I'm done, right? So all it is patterns, and these patterns, they pretty much represent everybody's emotions in the stock market. Do you agree? You guys agree that the stock market is just a huge collection of emotions, right? whether it's an institutional guy behind the chair pressing the button for a fund that has like billions of dollars, right? Or some kid in his basement trading his mom's account, right? There's emotions involved in all of that, right? And emotions are displayed in these patterns. So support and resistance, really important, right? So here you see the S&P 500. It's not that clear, but I'm going to try to do my best to explain it. So all it is when a stock goes up to a certain level, it's going to hit that resistance level. Boom, boom. It's kind of like, you ever taking your kid to Chuck E. Cheese? Boom, whack-a-mole, whack-a-mole, right? Whenever it comes up, boom, whack-a-mole, right? It gets whacked because there's all these sellers living up top. And we use the S&P to gauge that because it's the broader market, right? It's the entire collection of the 500 biggest companies in the United States stock market. So we use that as a gauge, right, to figure out when that resistance is going to happen. So the dot-com boom, I traded this briefly and made that $18,000 off of it, right? It went bust and it came back down. So that top was the resistance, right, in 2000. And when it came down in 03, 04, that was the support. The buyers stepped up and they bought that level, meaning there's so much money within the stock market that those funds, they don't want their investment to go below their entry point. So they're going to set orders that won't let it go below that level, okay? And then when it goes back up again, look here in 08, right? It couldn't push above that resistance. So that's a pattern. It can't go above there. So why do you want to put your money in there at the top of the resistance, right? So if you knew that the top was going to be exactly the same where 2000 was, why would you jump in long, meaning you're trying to buy it to go up more? It's time to short the market, right? So in stock trading, you can make money not only when the market goes up, you can make money when the market goes down, and even faster because fear is greater than greed, right? Do you guys agree fear is greater than greed? Yep. If the house is burning, you're going to take the stairs down, or you're going to jump out of the building. You're jumping out of the building, right? Like some of the people are doing right now when the stock market's crashing. They're just, I don't care. I just want my money. Sell, 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 right? When it goes back up, yeah, I'll put a little bit in it at a time. So understand that fear and greed cycle and support and resistances, right? And so when we're coming back down, we're crashing in the stock market, and it's going to go below that pre-COVID level, right? So the government printed so much money because they locked everybody down. Like, hey, you guys don't have to go to work. We're just going to print a ton of money out there to create that liquidity for everybody, right? And that kind of forced everybody or stay at home and made them lazy. Like, why would I go to work when the government's giving me money, right? Well, that caused this huge inflation, right? That means so many people have so much money that they can go out and buy things that they want or need, and that inflated a lot of the goods and services out there, right? There's so much money in the system right now, and now they're like, hey, we need to take back that money, and their way of taking back that money, right, is through higher taxes, right, and jacking up the interest rates. So they're going to jack up the interest rates until everybody starts feeling that pain, right? And they're not going to go out to eat anymore, right? Instead of going out to eat 5 times a week, maybe they'll go once or 0, right? Instead of buying the extra pair of socks or underwear, right? They're just going to limit themselves to one, or hey, I'll wear these tighty whities until they start ripping, right? So right now there's so much money out there that it's causing all this inflation, and the Federal Reserve needs to reel back that money in. And the stock market doesn't like high interest rates, right? Because all these corporations, they're levered to the max, right? A bunch of like billion-dollar companies, their earnings per share is like negative. They're worth billions of dollars, but they're not making any profit. They're losing money, right? It's because all that money got pumped into the stock market. People got COVID money. They put their $2,000 stimulus check into, Apple, Tesla, Facebook, right? So it's inflated all these values, and these values need to get walked back down, because if the market is down, the Federal Reserve thinks they're going to win, because when you look at your bank account and your stock portfolio, and if you don't have that much money anymore, right, you're not going to go buy a brand new Cadillac or go spend, dinners every weekend out, right? So that's the goal of the Federal Reserve right now, is to reel in that money, drive asset values down, right? Jack up those interest rates. So we got to be prepared for that. So like here, there's cycles, right? Resistance, support, resistance, support. So buy low, sell high, buy low, sell high, right? So there's technical patterns that we can use and indicators to time the market. So timing, direction, and magnitude, right? We want to know when the time is the best optimal time to put our money in, because if we think the market is at its low and it's at the lowest it'll go, and it's going to go back up, right? But we don't know when, right? Wouldn't it be great if you know exactly before it's going to go take off, put your money, take off, and then sell at the high, right? So that's the timing component. We want to know when that's going to happen, and the direction, up or down. The magnitude is if it goes up at a certain time or down at a certain time, how much is it going to go up or how much is it going to go down? So most people, they put their money in the market, it's like, hey, wish and pray that you're going to make money, right? But you want to have all three of these components, timing, direction, and magnitude. You become a very profitable trader. So fundamental investing versus technical trading. Those two concepts are very, very different, right? So when you're investing, you're not looking a lot at technical patterns. You're looking at the profitability of the business, right? Earnings per share, et cetera, et cetera. But when you're technical trading, you're basically trading, putting your money in, taking it out purely based on the price action and the patterns of the stock market. So fundamentals can tell you what to trade, right? But technical signals can tell you when to trade it. And we have options, right? So why do we trade options? We trade options primarily because it provides us capital efficiency. For example, if I were to buy one share of Apple right now and it's $150 and it goes up $1, right? We'll make $1 per share. That's less than 1%. Not too sexy, right? Who wants to put $100, $150 to make $1? But if we bought one share or one contract of Apple, a call option, and if the stock still went up by $1, right? We bought that option for $100 and it can go to $2, right? Because that stock went up by $1, that's 100% return, right? So who likes 100%, right? So 100% return is better than 1% return. So that's called leverage, right? So you buy a house with a contract instead of all cash, right? Leverage. So you can also use options aside from just as a speculative instrument, as a hedge or protection against your existing stock. So if you had, maybe 1,000 shares of Apple and you were worried that if Apple comes down, you're going to lose money, just buy 10 contracts, right? So 10 contracts are going to protect your 1,000 shares of Apple. So Apple stock goes down, the value of the put options go up, okay? Stock goes up, right? You buy a call, you make money when the stock goes up by using a call. When the stock market goes down, you buy a put, you make money when the stock goes down. The put value goes up. Who likes making money both ways, up or down, right? Doesn't matter. I like this because all this volatility that's going on right now, volatility is opportunity, right? Because if the stock market stayed the same and did nothing, that means there's no transactions happening. It's stuck, right? There's no buying or selling. The liquidity isn't there. So a lot of these funds or algo or computer programs, they want to trigger these buy and sells that happen over and over again, right? So this is a 5-minute cloud setup that I use every single day, right? So repetition, consistency, right? Practice your craft, become obsessed with it. So this happens every day. All I do is go in, look to see if there's a technical setup on Apple on the 5-minute cloud. If I see it below that cloud, all I'm looking for is that first pop in the morning, first 30 minutes or 1 hour, and then I'm done, right? Make my $5,000, $10,000 a day, and then I'm done with this Apple. I can go play with my kids, go swim, whatever, right? Go learn something else. I don't have to be stuck at the computer all day long. So here's an example, right? You could take from Apple in the morning, the stock went up only like $3, right? But the options went up from $2 all the way to $4, right? So a $200 investment or a trade turned into $440. but you're like, hey, that's not going to pay the bills, right? I like steak, I like lobster, I like to take my kids to Disneyland. That might not be, as fruitful for me. Well, the nice thing about the stock and the option market is it's very scalable, right? If I wanted to flip, if I'm currently flipping one house a month right now, and if I want to do 10 times more, I can't just go out and find 10 times more deal and hire 10 times more people to work on those flips. That's hard, right? It's hard to scale that. But if I'm in the options market, all I got to do is tap my mouse button, right, and add a couple of trailing zeros, and I go from $200 to $2,000, right? $2,000 to $4,000. Or if I want to make, $20,000, I'll just put in $20,000, and then it turns into $40,000, right? But you got to start from somewhere. You got to start with one contract. You got to master that one contract, because if you can't master one, what makes you think you're going to master 100 or 1,000, right? Because your mind's going to go freaking wild when you're used to seeing your P&L, your account fluctuating by a couple $10 or $100, right? When your P&L starts fluctuating by tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands, right? Or millions of dollars, you're going to be like, oh shit, I'm screwed. So this is what I do. In the morning, I look for those trade setups like within Apple. First 15, 30 minutes, take whatever I need from the market if the opportunity presents itself. And the last hour, I'm selling credit spreads, whether it's put or call credit spreads, right? So all it is, what I'm doing with these credit spreads is I'm using time and theta decay in my favor, right? Time and theta decay and volatility. Because when you're a buyer of options, right, it's a race against time for that move to happen. If that move doesn't happen, that option contract goes from $1 to 50 cents to 10 cents to a penny very fast, depending on how much time you give it, right? So buying an option, the theta decay works against you, right? It's like ice cream, right? So if you're eating ice cream on a hot summer day, that ice cream is gonna melt really fast, right? So you gotta hurry up and eat it. Well, hurry up and make the move. Go from $150 to $160 right now, so my option can go from $1 to $10, right? $10,000 to $100,000, right? Whatever it is. But when you're a seller of option, you're using that theta decay to work in your favor. So you can become a seller of options, even though you don't own the options, right? You can get the credit. Once you sell the option up front, you get a credit in your account. So let's say if I sold, 10 contracts of the S&Ps, I'll get credited, $10,000 in my account right away. And if the option doesn't hit its strike, I get to keep all that money, right? It's like insurance. If the house doesn't burn down, I keep all the money, right? But if it starts getting close, right, that means the value of that insurance or the contract is going to go up, right? And I can cut my losses short, or I wait until the pattern plays itself out and I get to keep all that credit, right? So selling put credit spreads has been very profitable for me this year, because even though the stock market comes down, there's a pattern before it closes. By the end of the day, all these short sellers are racing to cover, right? And it forces the market to go right back up before it closes, okay? Because a lot of short sellers, they don't want to keep their trade overnight, so they start covering their short bets and positions. So a consistent 3 to 5%, even 10% aggressive, you can do that every day. And it's all about compounding, right? Compounding, taking those base hits every day. I'm not trying to swing for the fences and hit home runs and trying to make $1 million a day, no, right? I don't work for an institution or fund that needs to make $1 million a day, right? I just need to be consistent and compound, because let's say if you just started off with a $10,000 account, and if you compounded that 3% per day, right? That's at least $1 million per year. So when you start looking at that math, you're like, oh man, this is amazing, right? So don't underestimate that power of compounding. So this is an example of how much you can make, right? So if you had and you don't have to start off with a $50,000 account. You can start off with a $5,000 or $10,000. So with a $50,000 account, and you're making $1,500, selling just 3 put credit spreads or call credit spreads, right? $100,000 making $3,000 for some of you that are, balling out of control here, you're like, yeah, that's chump change, right? Well, sell credit spreads, they're making 15,000, right? Is that enticing enough? Or 25,000, right? That's all doable. The reason why you guys don't think it's doable is you don't, within your circle, you might not know people that are doing this, right? But get around like guys like me, I'll show you, like, hey, it's possible, right? Even if it's $200 or $100, right? An extra $100 a day, 5 days a week, how much do you think that is per month? That's $100 a day, $500 a week. That's $2,000 a month. Extra $2,000 a month, right? Who wouldn't be happy with the extra $2,000 a month, just an hour a day, right? But what if you made $200 per day, right? That's double that, extra $4,000 a month. And $200 a day in this, it's like cakewalk, guys. It's like taking candy from a baby, right? It might seem like over your head right now, but I'm telling you, I can show you. Because if you haven't seen it before, you're like, let's say you go to a third world country and you've never seen an airplane before, and you're trying to tell these guys, hey, we can fly, right? You're like, you're out of your mind. What are you talking about? We've never seen an airplane, right? But you show them, hey, I have an airplane, right? Yeah, you can fly. You can make money in options. So this is selling put credit spreads. This is what happens. Can't see that clear, but the market's coming down, right? By the end of the day, boop, it pops back up. Boop, it pops back up. It's a repeat pattern every single day happens. So get diversified. Get with the person that invited you here, whether it's Christian, myself, Allison, Daniel, or Chatty, right? There's something for everybody here. Whether you like real estate, whether you like, lending, stocks, options, or financial services, right? There's something for everybody. I have everything, right? Where I have a license with I have a real estate broker's license, right? I have a license with financial services, life license. So it's an easy sell. If you're a real estate professional, there's no reason why you should not have a life license, because it's an easy sell, right? When you sell a home or a mortgage, all you got to do is ask Mr. and Mrs. Smith, what would happen if your spouse passes away? Who would take care of your current obligations right now? Would you want your life to be the same state, better or worse, right? Most people are going to be like, hey, I want it to be at least the same or better. But what's going to happen when your breadwinner passes away, right? Who's going to be paying those mortgages for them, right? Who's going to support them and put them through college? So a lot of us buy auto insurance because the government forces us to do it. But the government doesn't force anybody to buy life insurance, and not a lot of people think about it that way, right? So you are the biggest asset, right? Not your car, not your house. You buy a policy on your house, but why wouldn't you buy a policy on yourself, right? Why wouldn't you give that gift to your family if you passed away? So very important, Primerica, I'm part of Primerica, right? So every time I do a sale, and it's recession proof, right? Whether the stock market goes up or down, interest rates go up or down, right? That man over there, he's collecting because, financial services is not economy driven, right? He keeps getting checks over and over. Well, actually, during COVID, we recruited the most amount of people in a month together, all over Zoom, right? And people were fearful of passing away because all these people were passing away. People were still buying policies. Like I got a ton of policies on myself. Like I'd probably be worth more dead than I'm alive, right? So don't tell my wife that, right? So, get your life license, guys. It's easy. If you have your real estate license, get your life license. If you have your life license, get your real estate license. Because now EXP gives the real estate world that opportunity that Daniel has right now. When I saw that, I was like, wow, thank you, Christian, for showing me that. I appreciate you, right? It's just another income stream for me, right? So get involved with these wealth-being vehicles today. Take money from the stock market, invest in real estate, right? Invest it in businesses, invest it in yourself, your personal development, right? And when you become successful, you make a lot of money, right? Pay it forward. Give your wealth of knowledge back. If you don't want to donate money or whatever, right? Give your time back to the people that probably didn't have that opportunity that you did, right? So with that, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, so take every shot, right? What do you got to lose? This is the best country in the world. If you fail, whatever, you can always go back to your 9-to-5 job, right? What are you going to lose? You're not going to die. So go up there, like myself, talk, speak, fail, stumble, stutter, whatever, right? But every time you do it, you'll get better and better. So if you want to follow me, I'm on Instagram, Kevin Touly. You take the QR code, all my other links are there. Always feel free to contact me. And then get with the people that invited you here today, because they saw something in you that maybe you don't see in yourself right now, right? And they're willing to help. I'm willing to help, right? Everybody that invited you here is willing to help you, right? No intentions, no motives or whatever. We just want to help you. Because if we help you become better, right? Get what you want, obviously we're going to benefit a little bit, but no intentions, right? Just want to give back.